All right. Hello, my gorgeous Sonder fam members. We are so happy to be with you here this evening on a Sunday night to get everything all set up for your week ahead. Last week of February, where does the time go? I do not know. But we are glad you are here to get things set up. So, with me tonight is Jennifer, and she is coming to us from Texas. And she'll be keeping an eye on the chat in case you have any questions, or if I mention something, and she will pop in some links. And she's always going to be kind of putting all sorts of fun things in there. Also, speaking of the chat, make sure that you switch that little blue box to everyone. Otherwise, the only people that will see what you write are myself and Jen. And Zoom has an obnoxious tendency, if you're on an iPad or an iPhone, to keep flipping back to host and panelist. So you might have to do it every time you type in chat. You might have to keep switching it back to everyone. No worries. But just know that that does happen. So a little bit obnoxious there. The other thing that sometimes happens, depending on which version of Zoom you have, if we put links in the chat, sometimes they're clickable, sometimes they're not. So sometimes you might want to think about taking a screenshot if you need to type in that address into your web browser. The other thing too, screenshots actually are super helpful, a good thing to do when you are here with us, so you can take a screenshot if there's any slide of some examples that you want to remember while you're working on your journal. And one thing to remember is that some folks, when they come to these weekly setups, they spend a lot of time in the chat, just chatting with everyone, right? This is kind of our fun social time, being together, sharing how our week went. And then they take notes on what they want to do. And then after the social is when they actually do the work in the journal. Some people completely ignore the chat and focus solely on working on their journal. And either way, however you do it is absolutely fine, right? This is your hour. You have carved out this time to work in your journal, to get set up for the week, or you can work on something else in your journal right now this week, right? It's this is your time. So we are just here to help guide, give you some suggestions, some ideas. But if we're working on a section and it's not your jam and you want to kind of do something else, do your thing, right? If the music I'm playing isn't your jam, you can always mute that. If my voice isn't your jam, you can mute me. We have the closed captioning on, so you can kind of see what's going on. Again, really want to stress this is your time to do what you like. And I know I've heard some people say that they're like, oh my gosh, this is so fast. And I feel kind of a lot of pressure to get everything set up during the time. And again, like, you don't have to get it all set up during this hour. You've got plenty of time. This is a time for you to kind of figure out what's going to work for you. And what might not, and what you might want to change up from past weeks. Also, Jennifer is popping in there the link. We do record these and we make them available on the YouTube channel. It does take a few days sometimes to get them up there, but that YouTube channel has, I don't know, gosh, it's probably close to 900 of our socials since we've been doing these since 2002, I think. Or is it 2001? Now I can't even remember. It must be 2000. No, 2021, not 2001. Going back way too far. But we've got lots of them recorded. They don't have the chat there, but they do have kind of the slides and those kinds of things. So if you ever miss a weekly setup, the only thing that would be different would be the mind map question. So just know you can always kind of go back and watch some of those older ones. And I did put this little testimonial on here from one of our Sonder Club members who also has the personalized life coach, talking about how helpful and how useful the personalized coach is, right? She says she messages her like she's her friend, except for she is available 24/7. So the nice thing is you don't have to worry about waking your friend up if you text at 3 a.m., right? You can kind of hang out with your personalized life coach, Jenny, and ask those questions. And so we are still running that special. I think it's the first 3 months, 50% off the first 3 months. So, and Jen will pop some different links in the chat so you can kind of get some more information on that. So I just love seeing other people having so much success with her, how to work. And yeah, Anne's saying I'm still working on how best to use the personal coaching. So the funny thing is you can actually ask her, right? You can type that in there. You can be like, I'm not really sure what the best way is to work with you. What are some suggestions that you have for me, right? And it's it's just amazing how nice it is once you kind of put in some of that information about yourself, those different quizzes, those different personality profiles, that she can really kind of hit the nail on the head, right? So our community guidelines are just to make sure that this is a safe and supportive space, a place for everyone to be able to come and share. So we just ask that you're kind and courteous to both yourself and others, no promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. It's fine to ask about markers that don't bleed and what kind of stickers folks are using. Best place to ask those, though, really is in Sonder Club in our app, because then people can give you links and you can have a little more access to that. And then any of those customer care inquiries, like you need to change your address, your mailing address, you need to update your credit card on file, you want to switch from a monthly subscription to the yearly subscription, those all go to hello@silkandsonder.com. It does take them sometimes a little bit to respond. They are a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They're in headquarters, so sometimes it takes a little while. And then if you have specific questions about personal coaching, those all go to concierge@silkandsonder.com. So just kind of keep in mind, there are those two different emails that you can ask for questions. Jen and I don't have access to your account, so we can't look anything up for you while we're here, but just know that headquarters is there and they will be there to support you. And then ultimately, these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of our fabulous, fabulous community. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So like I said, if you're just not feeling it, you want to do something else, things aren't really, it's not your speed, right? If you need to leave early, again, you do you. This is your time, right? And we're going to wrap this week up with, in February, still focusing on our theme of the month, which is admiration, which has been really kind of a fun way to kind of think about that idea of admiration. And when you admire something about another woman, tell her, get in the habit of lifting each other up. So the other thing, since I'm kind of talking about all the fun things that we're doing, we have the coaching program, we have the different Sonder socials. We are finally going to have our first live in-person event. I am going to be the guinea pig and hosting that this coming Saturday, so March 1st, at 9:30, I think. And Jen's going to pop some information there in the chat for a 90-minute in-person session, meet up and working on some journaling. And I'm also going to bring like my absurd amount of stickers and pens and all those things. And we're just going to have lots of fun. So if you are in the area, we would love, love, love to see you there. Jen also popped in. There's a little link there that you can register, so we can kind of see how many folks. The space is limited, so I want to make sure that we have plenty of room for everybody to come. It's at a library. There's a fun little cafe that they have there if people want to get something. Yeah, and if you are in the Denver area and you're coming, you can always bring a friend. They don't have to be a Silk and Sonder Journal subscriber. It will not be virtual. It will only be in person. And then hopefully we'll get some more information, kind of like how it goes, and we'll do more of those. And we're going to try to be doing more of these, like in Dallas and Nashville and maybe San Francisco. So trying to find places where our facilitators are. Right now, we don't have any facilitators in DC, but we can certainly think about that. So we are also working to make it so that you can host your own, right? So that folks can decide to facilitate their own Silk and Sonder. So lots of fun stuff in the works. So just kind of keep that in mind. And all the fun things that we're going to do here in 2025 with Silk and Sonder. So our agenda for tonight is to do the admiration mind map. And this will be the last week of that. And then we're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection. And then we're going to work on those weekly setup pages. And then I always like to have these two little cartoons here just to kind of let folks know a couple of things. First of all, there's room for you here just as you are. If things are going great, things are wonderful, you have some successes, you have some things you want to celebrate, please share those in the chat, right? We want to celebrate with you. We love hearing about the good things that are happening. But we know that life isn't always a series of ups. Sometimes we have those valleys that we dip into, and sometimes things are not going well. Certainly this time of year, we have, some illnesses, and we have different kinds of stressors that are happening. We are happy to support you. We can hear about those things. Don't ever feel like, oh, I don't want to be too negative in a social, or oh, I don't want to be too tooting my own horn, right? Kind of thing. Again, there's room for you here just as you are. We love to hear what's happening with you. And the other thing is the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So no one can tell you should or shouldn't feel bad or happy, or you shouldn't be mad about this, or any of those kinds of things, right? Our feelings are our feelings, and we are here to feel them all. And I know the chat goes by sometimes kind of fast, but I saw somebody said Anne said she paid off her car. Yay, that is exciting. Love hearing that news. So let's finish up our admiration mind map. So this is something that we do in the weekly setups. And it's not a printed page in your journal. It's not any sort of a printed page. It's just, you want to find a blank page. You want to, maybe if you have a thoughts journal, or if you have shoot, I forgot the name of the other book that we have. We have lots of different journals, like the weekly journals, those kinds of things, right? Blank paper, sticky notes, like whatever works for you. And we are the Elevate Planner. Thank you, Katrina. The Elevate Planner, like any place you want to kind of write these. And so each month we will always do 4. So just so you know, just in case there's ever 5 weekends in a month, there'll still be 4 weeks of the main theme mind map, and then there'll be some sort of a bonus if there's a 5th weekend in there. So this week we are going to and here's an example for admiration, and I love Jen did this. She used a cookie cutter. How cute is that, to make her little mind map for each of the 4 weeks with the hearts? And I know some people said, oh, I'm gonna go get a shamrock cookie cutter so I can kind of draw these up. So that will be fun. Yeah, the cookie cutter, I would not have thought of using the cookie cutter for like a little stencil, but I love that, right? I have all kinds of cookie cutters. Again, blank page, scratch pad, sticky notes, the quote page on page 38, like whatever works for you. So this week, this is going to be week 4, and we are going to talk about admiration of art. And I think it's a perfect time to really kind of think about how art helps us, and just really kind of makes our life more bright and more fun and more beautiful. I've got some fun little pictures here with all the different kinds of things. I love the earth without art is just right? I think that's so cute. Like, art is in the middle of earth there. So love that. And I also wanted to mention the 100-day project, and Jen is going to pop in a link in there for you. It's about making some sort of art every day for 100 days. And it does not have to be anything huge or fancy. It can be little things every single day. It can be working little things on a big thing for 100 days. One year I did cute little watercolors, just on like a little bit of paper, and kind of worked on that. So I think this is a lovely time to really kind of think admiration of art. How does art play? Maybe it's books, literature, maybe it's music, maybe it's going to the theater, maybe it's watching different movies, maybe it's going to a museum. I think yesterday was a free day at our art museum here. So find a free day if you can for one of, whoops, went the wrong way. What is wrong? Oh dear. Okay. My slide deck is not happy with me. Okay. Anyway, there was another slide in here, but anyway, sorry about that. My slide deck is not cooperating with me today. But anyway, so just think about, I'm going to play a little bit of music and let you write on this, but in your journal, think about, how does art play a role in your life? How do you admire art? What are some things that you will do this week to admire art? And then we'll check back in here in just a moment. All right. So lots of great examples in the chat of folks talking about how they want to do some sort of art. Folks are, learning to draw a little bit every day. And I love, some of you are saying like, I can't draw to save my life, or I'm not an artist, or I'm not good at drawing. And just the fact of just trying and putting something out there. Alexander is saying, I love that Silk and Sonder encourages me to be creative with my doodles. Yes, just doodle in your journal, right? Write. Maybe it's writing a poem. Maybe it's singing a little song, doing some crochet. Yeah, Regina's doing some crochet. I certainly am doing some knitting. I haven't quite figured out, I need to figure out before the end of the day, but what I want to do for my 100-day project, because it's just kind of fun, and adding a little bit of art to your day, I think, is something that really, that idea of admiring art, the art of nature. Certainly someone was talking about looking at the sea, or looking at a tree, or kind of looking, I know some people are getting a little, it's getting a little more springy, so maybe some of the snow is kind of melting away, or even the art of the snow, right? Any of those kinds of things. So thank you all for thinking about that. I love, this is really a fun thing to think about, admiring art and what that looks like. And yeah, you can, and Googling, you can Google some of those how-to videos, take a painting class. They certainly have all those fun, like the sip and the painting classes, all of those kinds of things, pottery, super fun. So thank you all for sharing those in the chat. So we are going to move into our rosebud thorn reflection, which is on page 50 in your February journal. And every week we like to spend just a few minutes reflecting back on how the week went. I think it's always so important, because we have such a tendency, if you're like me, to kind of rush forward and not give yourself that time to really think back, and think about, kind of what the week held for you and how things went and what it looked like. So I like to start with the thorn. So start with kind of the annoying thing, or the challenging thing, the frustrating thing, the thing that just maybe is maybe a little beyond your control, or maybe it's not in your sphere of influence, that kind of thing. You can't quite attack it. But so for me, this week has just been a lot of mental clutter. There's been a lot of things that I want to do and I need to do, um, and I forget to like write them down, or I'm constantly like trying to do 10 things at the same time, and then I'm not doing any of them well. And they actually, there's a name for the mental burden of unfinished work. So there's a lot of talk about, and this is the Zygarnik effect, named for, I think she was Lithuanian researcher back in the 20s, who found this idea of, we're really good at remembering unfinished things, and we're not so good about remembering the things we finished. Right. So once we finish them, they go out of our mind, but those unfinished things tend to just kind of pile up, and can get a little frustrating. So I've definitely been kind of dealing with that, and thinking about ways to kind of dump those things out. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm going to do that when I do the monthly setup on, I think it's Thursday, when I set up March, because I'm going to try to attack that Zygarnik effect, and see if we can get some of those tasks done. Then our bud is something that's coming up, something that's exciting, something that's fun, something we're looking forward to, something that is kind of giving us that thing to be excited about. And so, of course, for me, it's our real life Sonder meetup in Denver. It will be the first one. So a little bit nervous, but also really excited to meet some local folks and be able to do this in person versus on the computer screen, right? So they can actually see all of me, except for, I feel like I need to bring like a little frame for people to be able to see, right? And then our rose is something that's a highlight, something that was really fun, something we enjoyed, something that, filled our cup, made our heart sing, just kind of was just a great thing that happened. It could be something small. It could be, something bigger. And for me, I did the Hygge Social on Thursday. That was super fun. Oh, Brenda, I'm so glad you enjoyed the Hygge Social. It's just always so fun to be able to do some of those kind of not quite things that aren't quite in the journal, but something a little bit different. And so I'm glad folks really enjoyed that. So I'll be quiet, play a little bit of music. I know folks are already sharing in the chat their rose, their bud, or their thorn. So I will play a little bit of music, let you keep working on that, and then we'll check back in and keep moving on. All right. Thank you all for sharing those rose, buds, and thorns in the chat. I know it's, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. And so it can be tough sometimes, or maybe we feel guilty if we talk about our things that are our rose or our bud. But I think it's so important to remember, again, life is that series of ups and downs. And it's so important to really look holistically and see, even if things are bad, and there's some bad things happening to you or to loved ones, friends, that there are some good things to hold on to, and kind of that hope, and that those rose and buds are so important to be able to recognize every week. So again, thank you all for sharing and spending that time to work on that little section. So let's dive into our weekly planner. So you might want to be still continuing up with February. Those are on page 52 and 53. I usually, my rule of thumb when a month, when a week straddles both months, is whichever month had the most days in it, that's the one I use. So I'm going to stick with February, since there's only 2 days that are in March and the others are in February. But I know some people may be ready to go with March, right? They're like, okay, that's February, I'm done with February, ready to hop into March. So you can absolutely do that. And that's going to be on page 26 and 27 in March. Some people like to use both, kind of have both journals going at the same time. Again, it's kind of whatever works for you as you're working to set those up. And I really liked this example from a previous week that someone kind of set up, and they have this week they want to radiate joy. They took out the feel part and they just said, this week I want to radiate joy. And their goals are radiate happiness, radiate healthiness, and radiate kindness. So a mind, body, and soul goal. They have their to-dos. They did a super fun little bingo. I love that. We do love a good bingo here in Sonder Club. So those are always kind of fun. And then they have their nice habits and activities, or or the habities, as I like to call them, set up where they have a morning routine, they're reading, they're doing some writing, they're working on their daily tracker, and then they have a nighttime that they, in bed, lights out by 10:30. So nice, very nice way to kind of set up what that week looked like. This is another really nice example that I like. They are clearly very focused, right? And they want to focus on studying for their exam. So I hope that went well for them last week. But they have, I like the to-dos. They have, if you do laundry, then you will feel less overwhelmed. If you meal prep, then you will feel proud and healthy. If you take a yoga class, then you will feel calm and relaxed. I love the idea of kind of setting up this. If I do this thing that's on my to-do list, then I will, have feel better. Michelle, was that yours? Were you being focused last week and doing your doing an exam? So look, and then on the habits and activities, right? She's got study for the exam, but then she's also got cook dinner at home, practice coping skills, Google review small businesses. I love that. And then clean one thing, right? And the best part about this is that she has a reward for each one of these. And that is such an amazing idea. And they're not huge rewards, right? They're not expensive rewards. She's not, spending hundreds of dollars to reward herself for these things, right? She's just saying, my reward for studying for the exam is I'm going to get a manicure if I studied for my exam 5 days. If I cook dinner at home for 4 days, my reward is going to be getting my favorite takeout. If I practice my coping skills 3 times, then I'm going to celebrate with my Sonder AI coach. Review those small businesses. I get to reward myself with an hour of mindless scrolling, right? So no guilt, right? I love that reward, right? I'm going to give myself permission to do that. And then clean one thing 7 times. And she got some new shower steamers to give herself a little spa treatment there in the shower. So this is a super fun way to really kind of set things up for your week, giving yourself those rewards, right? And so I'm going to kind of go over each one of these sections on this page and then let you work on it, kind of see what works for you as you're setting this up. Yeah, the rewards idea I think is brilliant. So again, this week you want to feel. So how do you want to feel? Maybe you want to feel inspired. Stephanie says relaxed and refreshed. Maybe you want to feel in tune, to be in harmony. Maybe you want to feel artful or, appreciative of art. Maybe you want to feel energetic or like a boss. Lots of different ways to kind of think about that feeling. I see blissful, relaxed, focused, healthy. It can be one word, grounded, active. It could be a set of words, several different words. You see there's one in there. They have beautiful, special, adventurous, free, renewed, and celebrated. Maybe it's a phrase that you particularly like. Maybe it's some sort of a mantra or an affirmation that you've really enjoyed. Yep, courage. And it's Kate's word of the year. Love that. Maybe it's a sticker that you want to pop on there. Maybe it's a picture of something. Maybe it's something you want to focus on. Maybe it's a quote. These are just it's just kind of a nice way. I always say it's a nice way to kind of, this is how I'm going to show up for myself this week and what that looks like. And you can bring that down into this next section with your weekly major 3 goals. So remember, if your plan hasn't been working, you can change the plan, but not the goals, right? So maybe these goals are something that are very fixed, and maybe there's something you didn't quite hit last week. You're going to bring them forward for this week, and you're going to kind of change up the plan, maybe change up some of those to-dos and what that looks like. So I brought this picture out again. I use this one a lot where it's, I am a beautiful, glorious, unfinished work of art, right? And so maybe your goals, you want to look back at those February intentions. Is there anything that maybe you've missed that you want to pick back up this week? That habit tracker, was there anything that you wanted to kind of pick back up? You could set those goals still through that lens of admiration. Maybe you want to do the no goals. So no alcohol or no doom scrolling unless it's a reward. No more than a certain number of minutes on social media, no impulse spending, no takeout meals unless it's a reward, right? Looking again at those previous weeks to kind of see if there's anything outstanding you want to bring forward, thinking about how you want to wrap February up. Maybe you want to frame your goals around a personal challenge. So maybe you have like a fitness challenge you're doing, or some sort of cleaning, decluttering challenge, self-care. Maybe you're doing some different kinds of soup recipes or a recipe challenge, or again, using that monthly theme to set those goals. And here's some fun examples of things that folks have done. They've split it up into me, home, and work, mind, body, spirit, left brain, right brain, and no brain. One person made a lovely unplug bingo that they have to help them kind of with the unplugging and getting kind of out of that phase of kind of always being on. Maybe it's creative, capable, and carefree. Maybe instead you want to repurpose it into something for like quotes, or maybe it's movies or books or creative project goals that you have for this week, songs of the week, 3 new recipes, a mini bingo board, some way that you want to embrace growth, lots of different ideas for things that you can do in this goal area. You can also focus on one goal, right? You can say, I'm going to focus on this one goal and I'm not going to make any others, right? And that can be very powerful as well, to be able to focus. Then when you come over to those to-dos, you're going to have the things that will help you reach those goals, right? And I love this little squirrel who looks very excited because he got to check something off his to-do list, right? So maybe you want to use the Eisenhower matrix to help you sort out those to-do tasks to see if it's something you need to do because it's important and urgent. But maybe if it's important but it's not urgent, it's something you can decide to do later or plan for a different time. Maybe it's not important but it's urgent, it does have to be done. Is there a way you could delegate that to someone else, or something else? And if it's not important and not urgent, maybe it's things that you need to delete, or maybe it's things you need to delay. Also, you could make a need, want, and hope list. These are the things that I need to do. These are the things I want to do. These are the things that I hope happens for this week. I've been definitely focusing on this little quote in the middle that says, I can do anything, but I can't do everything. And really reminding ourselves that we can't do everything. We can do anything, but we can't do everything. And so what does that look like as I'm prioritizing these to-do lists? Maybe, again, I have a need and a want list, or I have an AM and a PM list of things that are happening. I have a work and a home. I have some to-dos, and then I have some to-dos. So when I finish something that maybe wasn't actually on my list, I can write that down in the to-dos, right? Gretchen Rubin talks about the 1 minute rule, where if you can do something in 1 minute, just do it. Don't write it down. Don't plan it out. Just do it right then. And so kind of thinking about what that looks like. Again, some bingos. Maybe it's a to-don't list. Maybe it's a to-be list. And I'll cycle through all these when I play the music for you to kind of work on these little areas. And then our habits and activities, our habities down there in the bottom. So this kind of can go along with those to-dos, but maybe it's things you want to do multiple times this week. So maybe you want to focus on one thing. One person said hydrate, and that's what they're going to focus on. Nathania is saying, I want to go with a phrase. I want to fill my cup. So maybe those to-dos and those habits and activities will be those things that can fill your cup. Maybe you want to only list 3 things. Maybe you want to focus on some habit stacking, right? So someone's going to go for a walk at night and listen to their audiobook so they can get a couple of things done at one time. Lots of different habits, things you can do. Again, that art piece, right? So maybe there's something like watching a film, or completing a puzzle, or enjoying a healthy snack. And then keeping in mind that sometimes we don't need this space at all. We're just going to fill it in with stickers, right? Or fill it in with, somebody wrote nope, and they're just not going to use this section, right? Somebody put some little washi tape there at the bottom and they only list 4 things. One person uses this for reflections and they kind of covered over what it is, and they're just going to give themselves a space to write reflections. And then kind of thinking of this idea of all of our time kind of goes, we get time and then it kind of funnels in, but things like watching TV and social media and worrying tend to pull time away, and then we don't have a lot of time for self-care. So really maybe thinking about fixing some of those leaks as we move forward, right? Oh, I love Andrea says my roommate got a sweatshirt that says nope with a bear on it. So cute. Love that. So I'm going to cycle through these. I'm going to let you kind of think about how you want to set this page, either page 52 or 26, depending on which month you're working on. Feel free to share in the chat like I know you've been doing, and then we'll check back in here in a few moments and just keep moving on. right. Thank you all so much for sharing what you're doing with each one of these sections. I see lots of folks are really working hard to kind of take that feeling, how they want to feel this week, and then tying that into their goals and their to-dos and their habits and activities. Because if you think about it, all of those little things you do in your habits and your to-dos and your goals really should lead you to feel that feeling that you're wanting. So nice job of kind of thinking how all of these pieces tie together. Yeah, and Jen saying lots of intentional living this week. I love that. Now let's flip over to page 53 or page 27 if you've decided to hop over to March. And this is what one of our facilitators, Katie, likes to call the B side, right? The B side of the record. Sometimes all you do is listen to the A side, but sometimes you need that B side to get you going. And so, really, this is probably one of our more repurposed sections of people kind of trying to figure out what do I want to do with these different sections. So, the meal plan obviously can be used for planning meals, or maybe you want to notice some of the special days this week, right? They always have every day is a national something day. So there's like National Tortilla Chip Day, Chocolate Covered Nut Day. Ooh, I can get behind that one. A Letter to an Elder Day, or a Pistachio Day, Toast Day, Chocolate Souffle. The Global Day of Unplugging is on March 1st, which I love because that ties in very nicely with our in-person meeting that we're going to have here in Denver. Play Outside Day, National Banana Cream Pie Day. So those are always kind of fun. If you're ever wondering, just Google like national, what is today the national day of? And you can get like a whole list. Oh, and Christy said her birthday is National Margarita Day. I think that was yesterday, wasn't it? So happy birthday. Right. So, but some people use this for like a symptom tracker or a daily debrief, some scripture, schoolwork, or lesson plans, word of the day, some reflections, kind of reflecting on how each day went, um, color coding their water drops. So, like, the blue is the water, the brown can be the coffee or tea, writing journal prompts and responses, a chore list, appointments, a wardrobe tracker, packing list. That is super helpful for me when I travel so I don't overpack. Just making a nice little checklist of things to get done. Maybe we want to look at the 7 types of rest. If you've heard of that, the idea that actual physical rest isn't the only kind of rest that we need sometimes. So thinking of different types of rest that we need, the feels and meals, like how you feel when you eat what you eat, or it could be how you're feeling and then you decided to eat things, like what does that look like? A self-care plan, a weekly reflection page, and then that mind body health. Again, lots of fun different ways to use this. Maybe you want to just write in there something you did well this week and some ways you loved others. Some people, again, like to make a little bingo. We've got the lovely alliterations there for like Meatless Monday, TV Free Tuesday. We always do Taco Tuesday at our house. So that's always something fun. Walking Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, super fun ideas there. And then our shopping list section, again, lots of different things you can do with this little section. I'm going to work on knitting a new scarf pattern. There's kind of a knit along with a group that I'm in, a virtual group that I'm in. So I was kind of writing down, I need to go find the yarn and get the needles and kind of get that set up. So I'm using that as my little project planner. Maybe you want to make a social check-in, tell yourself to stay out of the dollar store, no unnecessary spending. Make a little self-care bingo. One person does a tarot card pull for the week and kind of writes about that. So again, lots of fun things that you can kind of do there. Yeah, Andrea says March is a weird month. It can still act like winter, but it can be spring too. So you always have to, like, what kind of clothes do I pack? What do I wear? Again, here's some other fun ideas of things that people have done, daily rituals, boring stuff bingo. Like, that's a great idea. Things that are boring, those tasks that we have to do, but make it a little fun, gamify it a little bit. Yeah, if you do the 100-day project, you could put that somewhere on this page if you're tracking that, what that looks like. And then that I am loving is just that, right? What are you loving this week? What are you excited about? What are you enjoying? You can fill that in now. You can fill that in midweek. Maybe it's something that you fill in at the end of the week, kind of whatever works for you. Some people like to do quotes in here or a song in here, just different kinds of things that you might want to put in there. So I will let you work on this page. Feel free to keep sharing in the chat what you're doing. I see some other people did bingo boards for tasks that they were dreading and got everything done so fast. I love that, Kelly. That's awesome. You know, whatever it takes to get our to get those tasks done, right? So play a little bit of music and then we'll check back in and wrap things up. All right. This is always such a fast hour. I always look at the clock 3 or 4 times to make sure I'm looking at it right. But we have come to the end. We have gone over everything that's here. And I love that someone had put that they use this sometimes to track where their kids are going to be. So they remember to go and get them. You don't want to forget a kiddo at, band practice or, gymnastics or something. So I love that you can kind of keep track of that, Courtney. So you don't so you're like, luckily they're only 10 minutes away, so that's helpful. So they aren't going to be gone that long. And certainly it's probably much easier in today's world with cell phones, right? Where we before, like when I was growing up, we didn't have the cell phone thing. And one time my mom actually left one of my there was 5 of us girls, and my mom actually left one of my sisters at our store. My parents owned a store, and my mom accidentally left her there and took all the rest of us there. So eep. So anyway, so thank you all for joining us tonight. Leslie will put the information about the link for signing up for the Denver event in the chat. And you should also, if you are listed as living in Denver or the Denver metro area, you should have gotten an email. They tried to target those for folks. So you should see that as well. So please share your weekly planners in Sonder Club if you feel the desire to do so. You can see all of these examples came from folks like you, right? They are not AI generated, they are HI generated, right? The human intelligence here in our group. So we love seeing those when you put those into Sonder Club, and you might, who knows, you might see yours in one of our socials coming up. And then just another quick little mention of our personalized life coach. We do still have the deal where you get 50% off your first 3 months. And if you're having any questions on that, sending that email to concierge@silkandsonder.com, and they can help you with that. Also, if you're having, if you have some questions about pricing, those kinds of things, you can check in with them as well. So again, thank you all so much for being with us here tonight. I know Jen's doing another setup tomorrow morning. We have lots of fun socials coming up this week. So we would love to see you in another social soon. So take care, everyone, and we will see you soon.